Thank you, Jason David Frank.
And Mr. Saban.
And thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing.
And don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified when we upload new content.
That's Tom.
And that's Chris. Decca, what do we got on deck for today?
Does Shattered Grid take place in more than one universe? We discuss the possibilities today on PRNT.
All right, we're staying in the Shattered Grid theme. Sounds good, so stay tuned.
It's PRNT time.
After 10,000 years, I'm free! It's time to watch PRNT!
Welcome, Rangers!
This episode of
PRNT,
your source for all things
Power Rangers.
As we heard in the opener, we are staying with the Shattered Grid theme.
That's right. Now, if you watched the comic book trailer for Shattered Grid, you heard that Lord Draken said he would hunt Rangers wherever and whenever they were hiding.
And if you combine that with the description from the Boom Studios, comic series, which includes the words multiple dimensions,
it sounds like we have a multiverse situation going on here.
Right, yes, we do. And because of that, Lord Draken is going to hunt down and destroy Rangers from every universe.
But what is a multiverse, and what are some theories behind it?
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked, too, because this is the topic of today's Science of the Morphin Grid episode.
You know what that means?
Yes, I do.
It's time to get suited up!
Yes, I do. It's science time! Ready.
Looking good as always.
Thank you. Do you notice that the monitors always change when I morph?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So again, the multiverse theory. What is it, and what are some of the theories behind it?
Well, to begin with, let's look at the word multiverse. It's a combination of the prefix multi and the word universe.
Multi, of course, meaning multiple or many, and universe being all matter.
Right. So the word multiverse literally means many universes.
All right. It sounds a little far-fetched that multiple universes exist. Is that even a thing?
Well, studies have been going on more and more recently, and it's been gaining popularity in the last decade or so. And there are actually some sound science, depends on who you ask, that kind of supports the idea of a multiverse.
All right, so let's talk about some of those theories.
Okay, well, according to a Space.com article I found, which kind of gives them a little bit in a nutshell, there are 5 main theories,
okay.
But I'm going to discuss 4 of them, right?
All right, so what's the first one?
Well, the first one is known as the infinite universes theory. Infinite, yes.
Infinite meaning endless.
Right, yes, yeah.
So what does this theory state?
Well, this theory centers around the idea of the fabric of space-time.
That combines the 3 dimensions, right? Up, down, left, right, and forward, backward with time, correct?
Right, and it's kind of like this board. You got up, down, albeit very thin, left, right, back, forward, and backward combined with time.
Okay.
Right, and space-time is said to be infinite, okay, which means it kind of goes on forever. Right.
All right. But what does this have to do or lead to the idea of the multiverse?
Okay. Well, you know how everything is made of these things called atoms, right?
Right.
Right. Well, those atoms can only combine in a certain number of ways.
Like having a pile of Legos. The bricks can only go together in a certain number of ways.
Right. Like the Legos, all the atoms that exist can only combine in a certain number of ways.
So how does that give us a multiverse?
Well, if they can only combine in a certain number of ways, that means eventually the universes have to start to repeat, because you can only combine in so many ways. It's like, say I gave you, like 200 bricks, okay, and I told you to make me, 100 million structures. You could only combine them in so many ways before you would have to repeat the structures.
Right, because if space-time goes on forever, then patterns have to repeat to fill it.
Right. Which means that there are universes that are both similar to us and ones that are exactly like us.
Which means that there are a huge amount of universes that could have Power Rangers.
Right, exactly. You know, some people visualize this as like a giant patchwork quilt. So like these little, boards, they're just a bunch of them all over the place. You know, they're creating, each board being its own universe.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Now there are some restraints to this, as with every theory, and I'm not going to get into them now for the sake of time. So before you start trolling me, just know I am aware of the limitations. Okay, about this theory and some of the other ones, which we could discuss later. Yeah.
All right. So the infinite universe theory was only one theory. What about some others?
Well, there is the bubble universes theory.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And what's that about?
Well, remember back to your high school science. You know, your teacher probably mentioned this thing called the Big Bang. Right.
I probably slept through that, but I think I can remember. It was about how out in space there was this giant explosion, and that's how our universe was created.
Kinda. I dislike the term Big Bang because it was more of an expansion, but yeah.
Details?
Right, yeah. They're the difference, but more on that later. Anyway, this theory states that, our part of space at one time inflated, and that was the Big Bang, or the big expansion, okay? Now, we've stopped expanding, we stopped inflating because things have formed and so on and so forth. But the theory is there are other parts that have expanded as well. So there are these bubbles, in space-time.
So you're saying that there could be many universes in bubbles just floating out there.
Right, that's what the theory states, yeah.
To think, all those bubble universes out there that are all the same.
Well, not exactly. The bubbles are independent of each other, okay? So this bubble universe is different than this bubble universe. And it could have developed differently, which means that the laws of physics, might not be the same in this bubble as they are in this one. Now, I did read some cool stuff about bubbles kind of running into each other. But again, more on that later, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, bubble universes, not necessarily the same.
There's always a catch. Mm-hmm. But, could there be Power Rangers in those universes that Lord Draken wants to destroy?
For sure, yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not awesome, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
So, our third theory is something called the parallel universes theory.
What's that about?
Okay, remember the idea of space-time that I mentioned earlier?
Yeah, the combination of the three space dimensions and time.
Right, you got Y, you got X, and you got Z, okay? Well, the parallel universes theory states that there could be more dimensions than we are aware of. So we're aware of, 4, X, Y, Z in time, but there could be more.
Are you talking like pocket dimensions that the Morphin Grid could live inside?
That was one, yes. Yes.
Well, so you're saying these universes could exist in those dimensions?
Right, yeah, and they're also called, brain worlds.
Why are they called that?
Well, because these parallel universes exist on membranes, okay? So brain world is membrane, not, brain, okay? And these membrane, okay, could be, just out of our reach on a higher dimension than the 4 we're familiar with.
So you're saying parallel dimension Chris could be just out of reach.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. That deals with string theory and, more on that. But the last, multiverse theory I want to talk about is something called the daughter universe theory.
Papa?
No. Have you ever been out walking and you came to a crossroads and you had to decide which way to go?
Literally every day.
Well, quantum mechanics, which is the science of very small subatomic particles, it would describe your situation in terms of probabilities instead of possible outcomes.
So instead of saying that I could go left or right, it would say it's probable that I could go left and right.
Right, exactly.
Left.
Right.
Left.
Right.
Correct.
Anyways, okay, not only does it say that, but the math of quantum mechanics says that both events could happen.
So I could go left and right.
Right. So when you have to make a decision, stop it! When you have to make a decision, okay, the present universe that you are in creates daughter universes, okay? And each version of yourself in those daughter universes then goes in the different directions. Okay? So you could actually, every time you have to make a decision, the universe could be splitting and creating a new one without you knowing it.
So there can be more than one me?
Yes, in theory. Yes.
That would be awesome.
Right. Sure. But anyways, this concludes our 4 theories. I do want to remind you folks, I'm not a physicist. I'm just a teacher. Okay? So I tried to understand these theories best I could. I think I did a pretty okay job. But again, I'm not perfect.
Well, thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing.
And don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified when we upload new content. And remember, as we sign off, our hope is that the power will always protect you.
Let's power down.
Hey Rangers, thanks for checking out this episode.
If you want to see more, be sure to click the link to the left to see our most popular video.
Check out the link on the right to see our most recent upload.
And aim for that button in the center to subscribe if you haven't already.
And if you still want more, be sure to check out our social media pages where we post all sorts of things to be your source for all things Power Rangers.